Hey folks, how you all doing? Lloyd here, or Mr. Hats as I'm known in the VC. Going to do a Paul McCartney post-Beatles studio albums rankings video, and this is going to be in 3 parts because I don't like doing long videos. So I've decided to split them up. 1970s in this video, then we're going to go the 80s and 90s in a combined video, and then we'll have the post-2000 in the 3rd video. Bit of background, been a big Paul McCartney, Beatles, John George fan since the 1970s, say 75, 76ish, when I first recall hearing them as a child. First thing I am a Ringo fan as well of his 70s stuff, even though I didn't say him. First thing I ever purchased with my own money was Good Night Tonight single on 12-inch when that was released. I remember playing London Town and Band on the Run over and over and over and over again from my parents' collection. First thing I ever purchased in album I purchased with my own money was McCartney 2, which will be in the next video. But yeah, been a big Paul McCartney fan, Beatles fan, solo fan, the other guys as well. Anyway, let's get into this. Look, my top 10, because there's 10 albums in this 70s one, is not going to be like anyone else's. This is what I hear, what makes me feel good, etc. So don't get upset if your number 1 album is number 7 or 8 in mine, and vice versa. You know, it's just my top 10. Anyway, let's get on with it. Number 10 on my list, we've got Wings at the Speed of Sound. Never ever been a fan of this album. It's too patchwork, it's too put together. Everybody's writing, everybody's singing. It's so it's just not cohesive to me. The album's not cohesive. The 2 standout tracks are obviously the 2 big hits, the brilliant Silly Love Songs and Let 'Em In. I also really like Sam Ferry Ann, Warm and Beautiful. The rest of the album I really don't care for. I've tried and tried and tried, I just don't care for it. But the album does come in at 4.5 out of 10. Number 9 on my list, we're going to go to Red Rose Speedway. Really love the hit single My Love, one of his greatest love songs in my opinion. One More Kiss is brilliant. Little Lamb Dragonfly, Single Pigeon is brilliant. I do like Big Barn Bed, I think that's cool, but to me the rest of the album is blur. Okay, it's just, yeah, again, half the album is really good, half of it is pretty lousy to me. 4.5 out of 10. Number 8 on my list, a lot of people have this really high, I don't. McCartney, really love Maybe I'm Amazed. It's one of his greatest songs ever, one of the greatest love songs ever. Absolutely brilliant. You know, That Would Be Something is really cool and catchy and toe tapping. Man, We Was Lonely is cool. Ooh You, really good rocker. Teddy Boy's okay, but these songs just sound half baked. They don't sound like they're fully formed to me when I listen to the album. It's a pleasant listen when you're driving along in the car. It's a nice pleasant listen, but it's really not, I don't see it as being as good as a lot of people think it is. That's just my opinion. But it does make the pass mark, coming in at 5 out of 10. Next up on my list at number 7, if you'd have asked me 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, this album would have been in my top 5 of his entire career. I've just sort of gone off it. It's just starting to sound a bit dated to me. Back to the Egg. There's some really good rockers on here. It's probably pretty close to being his most rockin' solo album or post-Beatle album, with Getting Closer, Spin It On, Old Siamsa, So Glad to See You Here, To You, and then there's the Rockestra theme. Really solid rockin' songs. Then you've got Again and Again and Again, 2 beautiful ballads, After the Ball, Million Miles, then Winter Rose, Love Awake, and Baby's Request, An Arrow Through Me. Really good album. It's just not as good for me as it used to be, but it still comes in at 7 out of 10. Good album. Next up, an album most people put at number 1 from his entire career. I've got Ram, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey, all-time classic. Should have been a single in England. It wasn't. It was a hit, pretty close to being number 1 hit in a lot of other countries. Just didn't release it in the UK as a single. So what have we got? Too Many People really loved that song. Obviously Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Heart of the Country is beautiful. Monkberry Moon Delight is another gorgeous song. Long Haired Lady is beautiful. There's really nothing bad on this album, but again, like the other ones I've mentioned, half of it is really good and half is sort of below par to me. Things like Smile Away, they're just half-baked ideas with nonsense lyrics for me. Great rockin' tune with that one's just half-baked. Eat at Home, again another one with great music, great punchy guitars, but just bland half-baked ideas. But it's still a good album. It still comes in at 7 out of 10 for me. So at number 9, well, there was 9 albums, so that was 5th, sorry. Number 4 on my list. This one a few years ago would have been bottom of my pile, but it's actually crept up in the last 5 or 6 years. We've got Wings Wildlife. This is a really rough, raw, ragged album. It's a side you don't see of Paul McCartney very often, being rough and ragged. He's very much a polished... His albums are very polished, with the production overall, even though there's a lot of nonsense lyrics on a lot of his things, but this is just rough and ragged. This is a guy that's like, he's got nothing to lose. He's just going to go out there and do what he's got to do and show people what he's capable of doing. Absolutely fantastic album. I love this album. Mumbo is brilliant. Big Bop is brilliant. Love Is Strange, cover of the old Everly Brothers tune, is brilliant. Wildlife, Dear Friend, Tomorrow, great album. 9 out of 10 for me. Number 3 on my list, Venus and Mars, complete album. It would have been such a hard act to follow Band on the Run, but he did it with this album. I think it's a better produced album. I think the songs are better overall. I think there's a lot more variety on this. He's really coming out of himself. You gave me the answer. Brilliant. Magneto and Titanium Man. Letting Go is just really bluesy, and so is Call Me Back Again. They're the songs that he has that real wailing voice, like sort of thing like the Beatles' Don't Let Me Down type vibe. That real wailing, longing voice. Absolutely brilliant. Listen to What the Man Said, one of Paul's great songs. And you got Venus and Mars Rock Show. Absolutely brilliant. One of the great rock albums of the rock era, in my opinion. 9 out of 10 also. Number 2 on my list, and we're going to go to Band on the Run. Not much can be said about this album. All-time classic. Opens up with the obvious 3-part song, Band on the Run. Brilliant. The great stadium rocker, Jet. Then you got the tender, vulnerable Bluebird. Those sort of acoustic folky things Paul is so good at. Mrs. Vanderbilt, Let Me Roll It. Absolutely another one of those bluesy type slow burn songs I was just talking about a minute ago. 1985, absolutely brilliant. I think if I had to say that No Words, brilliant. Picasso's Last Words. I think if I had to say there was one track that lets this album down slightly, it's Mammonia. It just sounds too Simon and Garfunkel for my liking. I'm not a big fan of Simon and Garfunkel, but this is a superb album. This is the one that took Paul back to the stratosphere, got his name in lights, gave him that #1 album again all over the world, and he got the credit that he truly deserved for being a great songwriter that he can be at times. This one comes in at 9.3 out of 10. Which means number 1 on my list is London Town. absolutely fabulous. You got the title track, which is brilliant. One of his greatest love songs, With a Little Luck, is on here as well. There's a couple of solid rockers on here. I've Had Enough, which is absolutely brilliant. Name and Address is very bluesy type stuff. It's a bit folky at times as well. Deliver Your Children, Famous Groupies, I'm Carrying, Children, Children. Then you got Girlfriend, which he originally wrote for Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson hadn't released Off the Wall at that stage, so Paul did it himself in beautiful falsetto. Great stuff. And then you got the folky Don't Let It Bring You Down. But my favourite Paul McCartney song of all time closes off this album, Morse Moose and the Grey Goose, and that's probably why this one is number one for me. This album comes in at 9.5 out of 10. Anyway, folks, that's just a quick look at Paul McCartney's 70s albums. There's 9 of them. Yeah, let me know in the comments section below. How do you feel about this list? What do you think about certain albums? Because I remember 20 odd years ago, yeah, around 20, people still, when you read about Ram, thought it was overrated, and now all of a sudden there's this big push to say it's one of the greatest albums of all time. I don't get why it's changed. It still sounds the same to me. Anyway, guys, as I said, leave your comments in the comments section below. Stay tuned, because there is a part 2 coming up in the next week, and that will be his 1980s and 90s albums combined into a rankings video for that. And once I've done the 3 parts, I'll end up doing something which will give you a rough idea of how I think his videos go over his albums go over his entire career. I'm not including experimental albums, classical albums, etc. Just studio albums by Paul. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Stay safe, take care. All for now. Catch you around, and bye, folks.